Chapter 21. This is a matter of principle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Fan regretted killing Lun Yen. Lin Fan might be missing important information from him, and if someone was backing Lun Yen up, it might be troublesome for Lin Fan. Lin Fan walked to the dungeon, and Wang Bao was not there because his shift was over. Leader. The hunters who guarded Dr. Sun saw Lin Fan and saluted. Although they only knew Lin Fan recently, for them, their leader was a very good role model. Lin Fan was worthy of their respect. Did he say anything? Lin Fan asked. Leader, his mouth is sealed tight, and he keeps saying he is innocent. A hunter answered Lin Fan. Dr. Sun, who was chained in the chair, looked much worse than last night. He looked so sleepy, and his body was so cold, he felt like he was going to die. Dr. Sun squinted at Lin Fan and said, I'm innocent. I don't want to be tortured. Even after being cornered like that, Dr. Sun still said he was innocent, which meant he still believed that someone will help him eventually. You guys, leave me alone with him. Lin Fan commanded. Yes, leader. The hunters who stayed in the dungeon didn't ask anything, and only Lin Fan and Dr. Sun left in the dungeon. Dr. Sun looked at Lin Fan with hatred, but he still said, I'm really innocent, I really don't know what happened. Lin Fan approached Dr. Sun and untied the iron shackle that restrained his arm. I think you are indeed innocent. Dr. Sun was shocked and stared at Lin Fan as if he did not expect Lin Fan will believe him. Sir, you finally realized that I am innocent. Dr. Sun cried. If his feet were not being chained, he would kneel to Lin Fan. Lin Fan did not untie the chain on Dr. Sun's feet but patted him on the shoulder instead. I said, I think you are innocent. Just because I think you are innocent, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are truly innocent. When I came here to see you, I met someone along the way. Guess who he is? Sir, I have been locked here all the time, so I don't know that person. Don't play dumb. The person I met is called Lun Yen. He asked me to let you out. You don't know him? Lin Fan asked. When Dr. Sun heard the name Lun Yen, he was suddenly silent and stopped yelling. It was not that there was anything wrong, but he was not sure what will Lin Fan say next. I don't know. Dr. Sun replied. Strange, he didn't know you, yet he gave me 12,000 to let you out. Since you don't know, it doesn't matter. Lin Fan took out silver money from his arms. Look, this is that person's money, and I don't know how long will it take to waste all this money. Dr. Sun looked at the silver money showed by Lin Fan. He felt what Lin Fan said was true. 12,000 was not a small amount. Even if Lin Fan had a job as a hunter, he had to work for a lifetime to earn it. When Lin Fan was about to leave, Dr. Sun shouted, I know him. Lin Fan turned back and smiled, why are you so stubborn? I don't have a problem to let you leave, but you must tell me how many traps there are in the dry well. When hearing the dry well, Dr. Sun was cautious again. Sir, if you let me go, then there is no need to investigate the dry well. Dr. Sun said. Lin Fan shook his head and said, what about me? Master Wang has already known about the dry well. I will be in big trouble if I don't check the dry well. So you must tell me how many traps that you already set there. I can hide important things if I can get down there before Master Wang. If Master Wang arrives there before me and he destroys all the traps, I won't be able to help you. Dr. Sun bowed his head, he was confused, and he was thinking about all kinds of things that could happen. Come on, hurry up, before it's too late. Lin Fan said, I. Dr. Sun said, he was a bit hesitant. Lin Fan squatted down to untie Dr. Sun's chain and said, speak, then you can leave. Then Lin Fan brought cloth for Dr. Sunday. I already took the money, so I need to fulfill his request. Lin Fan looked at Dr. Sun with a persuasive expression. Dr. Sun lowered his head and wrapped the cloth around him. He was so confused about what to say at that time, and he wanted to go out. Take the second layer of bricks inside the dry well, with the line, and the key is in the wooden duck in the bathtub. And the most important thing in there is a ledger. You need to hide the ledger. I think you will get more silver as long as you do that. Dr. Sun explained. He chose to believe in Lin Fan. After all, Lin Fan received Lun Yan's money. Lin Fan had an idea from TV series he watched, about someone who said to get their things as an excuse and never came back. So Lin Fan intended to do the same thing to Lun Yan and Dr. Sun, plus, he got free money, so it was like killing two birds with one stone. Are you telling me the truth? Lin Fan asked. Yes, sir. Then you can go. Lin Fan waved his hand. I'm a man of my words. Sir, rest assured, there are plenty of opportunities for cooperation in the future. Dr. Sun quickly walked out of the dungeon. Lin Fan looked at the information above Dr. Sun's head. He pondered for a moment. Dr. Sun, possible item drop. 3 years worth of cultivation, poison palms, second stage, primary medicine, cloth, poor and humble existence. Dr. Sun's footsteps were getting faster and faster because he could finally leave that hell. Dr. Sun looked back. Lin Fan was standing there without moving at all. Dr. Sun showed a friendly smile to Lin Fan, who might become his partner in the future. At that moment, Dr. Sun stepped out of the dungeon, and the sun was a bit dazzling. He raised his hand to cover his eyes. And suddenly, Lin Fan smiled and shouted. The prisoner has escaped, kill him. When Dr. Sun heard Lin Fan's voice, his body trembled, and he looked back, shocked. He saw Lin Fan's sword chased after his neck. In a blink of an eye, Lin Fan appeared in front of him and slashed his throat. Dr. Sun felt his surrounding was so quiet, and there was only one thought in his mind. Bastard! Lin Fan was tempted by Dr. Sun's ability in cultivation, so he killed Dr. Sunday. Besides, he must kill Dr. Sun outside of the dungeon to avoid being suspected. Chapter 22. I am not that kind of hunter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Fan didn't have any intention to let him go from the start. Dr. Sun's head was spinning and flew up, and then rolled off to the ground. Leader. The hunters gathered around the scene. When they saw Dr. Sun, they were speechless. How could the prisoner be there? It's okay. The prisoner Dr. Sun caught me off guard and attempted to escape. So I didn't have a choice but to fight him. Lin Fan shook off the blood on his sword and slowly put it in its sheath. Drop. Primary medicine, primary medicine. Cure diarrhea, fever, and so on. Lin Fan was not very satisfied with the item drop, and he was not a doctor. That medicine was useless for him. Dr. Sun was scum to drop that kind of thing. Clean up. Lin Fan had to join Wang Zhou. It was not clear what Dr. Sun said was true or not, but Lin Fan believed half of it. Dr. Sun's residence. Wang Zhou led his men to surround the place. At that time, a group of hunters surrounded the dry well, with some wound on their body. They were injured by the trap. Sir, there is indeed a small passage below this dry well. It is so narrow, and we need to bend forward. At the same time, there are hidden traps everywhere. If the traps are triggered, there is not enough room to dodge. It is dangerous there unless there is someone strong enough to disable all the traps with spiritual power. The senior hunter explained to Master Wang about the condition. Well, that can wait. I hope Lin Fan can get some information. Wang Zhou said. People around looked at Wang Zhou. They never heard of Lin Fan. They thought he was a master from another city. When they thought carefully, they remembered that it was the newbie who has just been promoted to be a team leader. Sir, even we met a dead end. What can a newbie do? Said a senior hunter. I will prove Master Wang's decision is right. When Lin Fan came, he heard someone doubting his ability. He had to prove his worth. Master Wang, fortunately, I have some information. Please read this novel on original translation site systemtranslation.com. After saying that, he glanced at the senior hunter who badmouthed him, showing a bright smile as if to say, "Hello, my name is Lin Fan, let me teach you a thing or two. I didn't misjudge you, I know you had it in you." Wang Zhou smiled. It was so convenient to have a capable person in his disposal. Not only he didn't need to worry about trouble but sometimes he could relax a bit. Please wait a moment, everyone. Lin Fan walked towards the house, and as soon as he entered the house, he saw a small wooden duck floating in the bathtub. This is the guy. Let's see if what he said is true or not. Lin Fan took the wooden duck and broke it. He found a key from the duck. It's really here. Lin Fan took the key and walked outside. He knew he was heading on something dangerous. When he remembered the plot in the film and television, he realized his current situation right now might be dangerous for him. Outside the house, Lin Fan approached the dry well. He touched the bricks in the second layer one after another. Suddenly, he noticed there was something different with the current brick he touched. He pulled it out and a keyhole appeared before his eyes. Lin Fan put the key in, turned it, and there was a click sound as if some kind of mechanism was activated. Master Wang, it should have been opened, but it is better to find some animal to get in first before us. Lin Fan said. Okay. Wang Zhou immediately ordered the others. Not long after, one of the hunter brought a dog. Sir, he is part of my family, I will be sad if something terrible happens to him. A citizen expressed his feelings about the dog. Sir, only his family has a dog around here, and I have already told him that he will be compensated, but I will give you 1 or 2 silvers. Lin Fan said. The citizen was stunned, he seemed to hear it wrong. Sir, how much did you just say? 1 or 2 silvers. Lin Fan said again. That citizen's attitude suddenly changed. Sir, I will be proud if my family member could help the government, that is an honor, and I will be very happy if you can use him for your case. That citizen thought if he knew that beforehand, he will give that hunter all of his dogs. Lin Fan felt all the traps were disabled, but he prioritized his safety, and he will know whether there was a danger or not if he used that dog. Not long after, the dog in the well was moving all over the place without encountering accidents. When they pulled it up, the dog was safe and sound. I'll go. Wang Zhou said. Forgive my rudeness, sir. Although this dog is safe, we aren't absolutely sure there is no danger. You are the backbone of Jiangdu City. If something happens down there, Jiangdu City will lose its commander and will fall into chaos. I will go in your stead, said the senior hunter. Lin Fan glanced at him, and it seemed that the senior hunter wanted to show off in front of Wang Zhou. I understand, Wei Xiong, then you must be careful. Wang Zhou said. What Wei Xiong said was quite reasonable. If something really happened, Wang Zhou will die down there. Sir, rest assured, I will be careful. Wei Xiong jumped down the well and disappeared in front of everyone. Chapter 23. Your routine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There is something wrong. Lin Fan stared at the dry well and was lost in thought. Why did Wei Xiong take the initiative to enter the dry well? Based on the previous situation, if Wei Xiong wanted to get in the dry well safely, he should have asked Lin Fan to lead the way since Lin Fan knew the details about the dry well from Dr. Sunday. But Wei Xiong sounded fine going in there all by himself. Lin Fan thought of the plots that often occurred in film and TV dramas. The traitors will always find ways to cover up the truth. This is weird. Lin Fan muttered. What's wrong? Wang Zhou heard Lin Fan muttered and didn't know what to say. He thought about whether he should tell Wang Zhou or not. Sir, did you remember what Wei Xiong said when you talked to him? Lin Fan said. Wang Zhou was shocked and said in a hurry, there might be a danger. No, Wei Xiong will return safely. Lin Fan said. He foresaw two possible outcomes. The first was Wei Xiong came up safely and reported that the situation was not dangerous, and everyone could safely enter the dry well, but Lin Fan could not find important clues. The other was that something suddenly happened. For example, an explosion in the dry well. Wei Xiong came out and reported the situation inside. That's good, as long as people he is safe, the rest are not important. Wang Zhou replied. He didn't get what Lin Fan was trying to point out. Lin Fan doubted Wang Zhou's intelligence. Please read this novel on original translation site systemtranslation.com. Suddenly, someone shouted. Something happens. Smoke comes out of the dry well, and Wei Xiong is still inside. Lin Fan guessed Wei Xiong was afraid of being busted, so he burned down all the evidence. Lin Fan was very calm. Lin Fan thought maybe Wei Xiong brought a certain book with him. Because that book would be useful for him to threaten someone else. Wei Xiong, hurry up. Wang Zhou shouted into the dry well. The smoke was very dense, and it was difficult for an average person to breathe. It was impossible to see clearly what was inside the well. Suddenly, a figure came out from the dry well. It was Wei Xiong covered with ashes. Sir, I'm sorry. I'm stepped on a trap in the dry chamber and caused a fire. I wanted to take those evidence before the fire spreads, but I didn't expect the fire was too big, I'm sorry. Wei Xiong was sad, helpless, and deeply regretted his actions. Lin Fan looked at Wei Xiong's expression. If he hadn't watched a few hundred films and TV dramas, he would have been deceived by that guy. Just look at that expression. That man was like a professional actor. It's okay, it's enough to see you come back safely. Wang Zhou patted Wei Xiong's shoulder. What did you find inside? Wei Xiong said, Sir, there is a secret room at the end of the passage, where there are so many oil lamps, and I did not care about it at that time, but a letter on the table attracted my attention. Then the oil lamp exploded, and after a while, the room was engulfed with fire. I wanted to take the letter away, but the fire was too big. The letter was already burned in a blink of an eye. Wang Zhou sighed. Well, if the clue is gone, we can continue to investigate the dry well. It's good enough to see you are still alive. Hurry up and see the doctor. Yes, sir. Wei Xiong responded, and when he was about to leave, he stared at Lin Fan's eyes. Lin Fan's eyes made Wei Xiong felt awkward. Wei Xiong was a cunning person in Lin Fan's eyes. Lin Fan was sure Wei Xiong was the one who burned down the passage, and there was no letter at all, only books. Lin Fan observed Wei Xiong when he came out from the dry well. Lin Fan didn't see him bringing anything when he came out. Lin Fan thought Wei Xiong already memorized the content inside of it, and he burned it down after that. If Wei Xiong knew what Lin Fan was thinking about him, he would definitely try to kill Lin Fan. Nobody has actually seen the passage with their own eyes, how could they be so sure about Wei Xiong's statement? Master, do you know Lun Yan? Lin Fan asked. Wang Zhou was puzzled. He didn't know the name. He shook his head. I don't know, what's wrong? In the pavilion today, that person bribed me with 12,000 silver money. He told me to release Dr. Sun, and then I killed him in a fight. I take that 12,000 silver money to dig about the relationship between them and told Dr. Sun he will be released. I found Dr. Sun knew what the important secret in that dry well is. Lin Fan was an open-minded person who would say that he accepted bribes without trying to hide the fact at all. His intention was clear. It was to remind Wang Zhou that the enemy could bribe someone with such a huge amount of money, and not everyone could resist the bribery like Lin Fan did. I will order my men to investigate Lun Yan's identity. Okay, wrap it up. Wang Zhou said. Lin Fan was not stupid in Wang Zhou's eyes. But Lin Fan was a bit frustrated that Wang Zhou hasn't realized anything from what he said. L.RG when he came to that world, he knew there was cultivation there, and the goal was definitely to become immortal. Lin Fan had to do everything step by step, he must not rush things. Lin Fan left and wanted to follow Wei Xiong. But he thought about that again. In the current situation, Wei Xiong should be cautious, and he will never expose anything carelessly. So Lin Fan decided to find some new technique. It was very difficult to fight the enemy with just one technique. Hunter Guild, Library. You can find the technique you want here, but I suggest it's the best thing is not to be greedy. Li Xiong said. He also had a good opinion of Lin Fan. After all, Lin Fan was his life-saver. Thank you. Lin Fan responded and then walked inside. Wait. Li Xiong stopped him. Lin Fan looked back, wondering why Li Xiong stopped him. Li Xiong pondered for a moment and said, "You have saved my life, this is my token of gratitude. I hope that you will find something good. And I warned you not to learn something randomly. Will there be a consequence if I do?" Lin Fan asked. Li Xiong laughed and stopped talking. Just go in and choose the technique you want. Finding the right one is the best. Chapter 24. Bald Head. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Humph. Not as I expected. The library where the technique books and scrolls were stored was not large, there were only 3 cabinets filled with books and scrolls. He took out a book and opened it for a quick look. There were many notes in it. It was from the person who wrote that book about the practice of the technique. When it came to the last page, there was Hunter Guild, Mumbai. The people who visited that mansion were some noble family members. They came there to earn enough credit to participate in the assessment of Immortal Gate in the future. Therefore, as long as one behaved properly, people in the Hunter Guild usually would not ask questions. Lin Fan only found a first stage technique that was useless for him. But when he kept searching, and he found something interesting. Iron Head. After pondering for a while, he decided to choose that technique. That technique may work well with the boar crash he has learned before. Because when he hit someone with the boar crash technique, his head was like about to explode. For his own sake, it was necessary to learn Iron Head technique. When Lin Fan left, he didn't see Li Xiong. There were no guards at that mansion. If he encountered Li Xiong, he really wanted to ask why his head was hurt when he used boar crash. Government building, warehouse area. Well, it's a bit hard to practice in this place. Lin Fan looked at the books carefully. The annotations in it were very clear. The problem Lin Fan will encounter in order to learn that technique was, he must use various medicinal herbs that could help him to learn that technique and many more. Iron Head, 3rd stage. A strong physical attack. Divided into Iron Head Battle God, Iron Head crushed the incense burner, Iron Head hit the war drum, Iron Head crushed the bell. This Iron Head technique contained an earth element and needed a strong spiritual power source. Backyard. Lin Fan approached a tree and felt the energy flowed in his palm. That would be the first step in learning the Iron Head technique, which should be carried out step by step. Hiya! Lin Fan lowered his head and crashed his head at the tree. He felt his head was spinning around, and he felt some pain. What kind of technique is this? He wanted to cry, but tears won't come out. If he wanted to reach the next stage, it was necessary to be firm and steady in the early stage. Exhaustion and pain was nothing. Just endure it. Bang! Bang! In the backyard, he devoted himself to cultivation. The huge tree shook when he crashed his head, and the leaves fell due to the impact. After an hour. An earthquake. How can it shake so badly this time? Lin Fan felt that the world was spinning, and then he felt his blood was flowing out from his forehead. Damn, it's too painful. Lin Fan squatted down and breathed slowly. Suddenly, there was a trace of spiritual power flowing in his body, and then more and more of the spiritual power rushed into his head, and suddenly his vision was blurred. Hey, Boar Demon, your technique is not powerful enough. If it's powerful enough, I don't have to work so hard to practice this iron head technique. Lin Fan was afraid that his head would be crushed if he continued to learn that technique. Jiangdu City, the pier. Dr. Sun and Lun Yen are dead. A man reported in a room, Dr. Sun was killed by Lin Fan. Lun Yen was killed when he tried to assassinate Lin Fan at the pavilion. Lin Fan was most probably the one who took Lun Yen's silver money. Snapped. Listening to the reports from his subordinates, He Tian smashed the teacup in his hand. His face was gloomy and so horrible. Then, have they found the account book? He Tian was most concerned about that matter. If the government got the account book, it would be troublesome. What was written in it was not a simple matter and involved a lot of people. Dr. Sun hid the account book in the dry well, which was supposed to be discovered, but Wei Xiong burned the dry well's closet including the account book, said the man. He Tian got up, walked to the window with a dissatisfied feeling, and looked at the river outside. Are you sure he burned it? Instead of hiding that book to threaten us with that afterward. The man lowered his head and frowned. What do you mean? Only the dead will keep their mouths shut, said He Tian. Yes, I understand. The man responded, knowing what to do. He Tian said, what about Lin Fan? He can kill the two dragons even though he is only an officer. When I return to the Hunter Guild, according to the people, Lin Fan has just been promoted by Wang Zhou to be a team leader and investigated the veterans case with Captain Zhao. He also finds out where we hid the account book, said the man. Well. He Tian sighed and then said, he became a team leader just a few days after he became a hunter. He also tracked Dr. Sun from the veterans case. We can't let this man walks around freely. Yes. The man responded. Do you want me to report this to the master? No. Tian he waved his hand and then said nothing more. The man also left. He had to arrange manpower and find the perfect opportunity to initiate their plan. Leader, you have a bright future ahead, you can't die like this. When Wang Bao walked into the backyard, he saw Lin Fan crash the tree with Lin Fan's head. Even an idiot would not do that kind of thing. Lin Fan's head was bleeding, so scary. Lin Fan stopped and said, whatever, I'm not trying to die, I am practicing iron head technique. By the way, while you are here, go to the pharmacy and get some herbs. Here is the list. Hurry up. Lin Fan must get the herbs he needed. When his head was bleeding, his hair was wet, and that became a bit troublesome. Or should he shave his head bald? Chapter 25. No one can stop him. You are listening at novelfull.audio. He had an idea to shave his head in order to learn iron head technique. Because he knew if he combines boar crash and iron head, he will be invincible. Lin Fan came to a barbershop in the city. The barber was very enthusiastic when he saw a visitor. But when he saw Lin Fan's clothes, he was shocked and said, did I do something wrong? Shave my head, make it bald. Lin Fan sat there, rubbing his head. What? The barber looked at Lin Fan and was confused. Lin Fan turned back and urged, just do it already. Yes, yes. The barber took his tools and made sure again before he started, whether Lin Fan really wanted to do that or not. So the barber started to cut Lin Fan's hair. After hours has passed, Lin Fan looked at himself in the mirror. Man! I'm so handsome. Lin Fan lowered his head and touched it. He felt kind of breezy around his head, and his mind became clearer. Nice. The barber was worried that Lin Fan might be angry at him, but Lin Fan just paid the bill and walked out. When Lin Fan walked on the street, he felt that everyone's eyes were locked on him. Maybe he was the most handsome man on the street now. Wang Bao, who went to the pharmacy in the city, came back. When he saw a man with his bald head in front of him, he was stunned. Who is that bald guy? Wang Bao thought. Have you bought the medicine? Lin Fan asked and turned back. Wang Bao saw the bald guy's face, the medicine in his hand fell to the ground, he was shocked and said, "Leader, where is your hair?" Lin Fan touched his head and laughed, "My head gets wet when I bled while practicing the iron head. It's easier to clean the blood like this. How much silver do you need to copy this book for everyone? Tomorrow, everyone will learn the iron head technique too." Those medicines were the preparations to learn iron head technique. Lin Fan went to the kitchen and put the herbs in the pot, add some water, and burned it, remove the husk and leave only the essence. After quite a while, the herbs in the pot became sticky, as if they were sticking to the bottom of the pot. After that, Lin Fan went to the backyard and continued his training by crashing his head on a tree. An hour has passed. Lin Fan stood and applied for some medicine on his head to practice his spiritual power. After his head absorbed the medicine, the pain gradually subsided, and the wound slowly healed. Please read this novel on original translation site systemtranslation.com. After that, he continued his training. I won't slack off even though I have the system, I will reach my goal to become immortal. Lin Fan could find someone who had the iron head technique and killed than a person to get the technique. But he chose to learn it by himself. The next day, Lin Fan sat in the courtyard with a lot of bricks around him. He picked up a brick and crushed it into his head. His head was fine but the bricks were broken apart. He was already accustomed to such training. Although it was a bit painful, he could clearly feel that his head was already hardened. Lin Fan was one step closer to master that technique. Wang Bao came from afar and saw that Lin Fan was hurting himself again. Wang Bao couldn't bear it when he saw that, but after reading the Iron Head book, he knew Lin Fan was really trying to learn that technique. But the way to learn that technique looked really painful when Wang Bao looked at Lin Fan. "Leader, my father invites you to visit our house." Wang Bao stood by while looking at Lin Fan crushed a brick after brick with his head. Lin Fan picked up a brick and crushed it with his head. Then he kept on doing it, and he shouted angrily, "Wang Bao, there is no need to do that. You are my men, and I will take good care of you, tell your father to rest assured." "Leader, I'm afraid that won't work. My father said that if I can't invite you, he won't let me go home." Wang Bao explained. Lin Fan was fine. He looked at a few piles of bricks. "Then go back and tell your father I will come tonight, I have to continue my training right now." No one could stop him now. "Leader, I will head home to tell my father about it." Wang Bao joyfully headed home. "Wait, you have to practice this iron head by tomorrow." Lin Fan reminded him if Wang Bao and the others were still unable to fight at all, it will be harder for Lin Fan as he didn't have to protect himself but his men as well. Suddenly, Lin Fan pondered, it seemed the time to train his men has come, they must be disciplined. "Yes, leader." Wang Bao understood what Lin Fan was thinking. Chapter 26. The Bald-Head Hunters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The hunters saw that their leader was training and kept crashing the bricks on his head. "Do we have to learn this technique?" "Yeah, it seems we have to. You know it hurts to crash a brick to your head, right?" "This. I heard Wang Bao said that when we practice iron head technique, our heads might bleed. And the blood which coagulated on our hair will be hard to be cleaned. So that means we must shave our hair in order to learn that technique." Ugh! The hunters were so worried. At night, when Lin Fan came to Wang Bao's house, Wang Bao's father treated Lin Fan nicely, which made Lin Fan flustered. There were only 2 rooms in Wang Bao's home, one was the kitchen, and the other one was where Wang Bao and his father slept. There used to be leakings here and there when it was raining, but that house was already repaired. The old man butchered the chicken and roasted it. He prepared very delicious food, which made Lin Fan flattered. After the feast, Wang Bao cleaned up the table and went into the kitchen. Wang Bao's father said, "Sir, Wang Bao had a serious illness from an early age. We are too late to cure it, causing his brain a bit damaged. He has always been treated like an idiot. I hope Sir Lin Fan can take care of him in the future. Relax, Wang Bao is my man, and I will not let anyone bully him." Lin Fan sipped the tea, then slowly put the teacup on the table. He knew that Wang Bao's father called him for dinner, not just to express his thanks. "Meanwhile, sir, please accept it." Wang Bao's father put a small wooden box on the table and pushed it gently toward Lin Fan. Lin Fan was smiling before, but at that moment his smile gradually disappeared and pushed the wooden box back. "Uncle, you are humiliating me. Wang Bao is my man, I don't want anything from him, so I won't take it. I have some other business, I should go back." Lin Fan stood up and walked outside, then he said, "Wang Bao, I'm going home, and don't forget to report to the government on time tomorrow." "Yes, leader." Wang Bao replied. The old man said, "You dumb, walk him off." No, I can leave by myself, Wang Bao doesn't need to see me off." Lin Fan said, then he left Wang Bao's home. He didn't want to accept any more invitation after visiting Wang Bao's home. That was not a gift, but bribery, and Lin Fan didn't need that. He was carrying huge sums of money, more than 10,000 silver money, that was enough for his entire life. Next day. When the sun shone, Lin Fan's bald head caught everyone's attention, and he could use it as a mirror to reflect the light. "What do you think of my brand new hairstyle?" Lin Fan touched his smooth head. His men stood in line, answered loudly, and praised him. "Good looking. Refreshing. The bald head is cool." Their praises were so lame, they didn't read enough books, so their vocabulary was limited. Well. Lin Fan nodded in satisfaction. He also felt the bald head was quite outstanding. He did not only catch everyone's attention when he walked on the street but also scared some chickens and dogs. Those animals hid in the dark and not dare to move. It really had a strong presence. I already asked Wang Bao to tell you guys to learn the iron head technique. Yes, sir. All the men shouted, and they were afraid of how much pain they had to endure during the practice. Lin Fan nodded, showing satisfaction. We are all hunters, and we are responsible for the safety of the entire Jiangdu city. We bear a heavy burden on us, but now your strength is not enough. You have to start from scratch. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Wang Bao shouted. He was brainwashed by his father to agree with whatever Lin Fan said. Well, in that case, all we have to do now is to start from scratch. Now I will take you to the barber shop. Let the people of Jiangdu City take a good look at our determination. Lin Fan waved his hand. When everyone heard Lin Fan's words, they were dumbfounded. Everyone murmured, they didn't expect that their heads would be shaved too. Lin Fan raised his hand to give a sign to everyone to be quiet. Brothers, we are sharing the same goal. All I have is yours. We are family in this hunter guild. When Lin Fan said that, everyone became serious. Report 1. 15. The hunters stood straight and counted. Okay, Wang Bao will lead the team to set off. Lin Fan waved his hand and left. The hunters cried in their hearts, as if that they were heading for the guillotine. Some people wanted to escape, but when they looked up, they had no choice but to squeeze a smile seeing Lin Fan's smooth head with a flash of light. Inside the barber shop, the barber was cutting the hair of the guests. He talked with the customers about his customer the day before. About the team leader of hunters who shaved his hair. The guests laughed. It was unexpected. 15 customers incoming. Lin Fan suddenly came in. The barber, who was telling the guests about Lin Fan, suddenly stopped as if he saw a ghost. The barber knelt down on the ground and shouted, "Sir, please spare my life. I did not mean to talk about you behind your back." Yeah. The barber saw a group of hunters coming in, and his heart was about to explode. My life will end today, he thought. Lin Fan was confused while scratching his bald head. Chapter 27. Like a waterfall. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Fan heard what the barber was talking about, but he chose to never misuse his authority to punish the citizen. Lin Fan smiled, "It's okay, now I want you to help me to shave my men's hair just like me." The hunters standing beside him wanted to cry, but they couldn't do anything about that. "I'm not lying to you when I said you are handsome with that style," said the barber. "Please rest assured, I know it's perfect," Lin Fan said. Lin Fan sat in a chair and said, "Wang Bao, you will be the first." "Yes, leader." Wang Bao was very excited about being able to have the same hairstyle as Lin Fan. All the hunters except Wang Bao were afraid when they waited while the barber was preparing his tools. Lin Fan looked so happy. At first, he was proud of his bald head, but after a while, he regretted it. But from that moment forward, he will have a lot of bald-head comrades. "Father, mother, I'm going to become a monk." "Come on, I'm ready." Wang Bao looked in the mirror, and the more he touched his head, the more he liked it. It looked so good, and everyone became more energetic. People on the street were stunned and the bald-head group passed through. Some hawkers were laughing so hard at them. Yu Guang saw the group, he was so shocked. "It's a shame." The hunters lowered their heads, embarrassed, and didn't dare to look anyone in the eye. Raise your head," Lin Fan said angrily. He realized his men's mentality was in the dump. Some of them wanted to cry, but tears won't come out. The news was thoroughly spread in Jiangdu City. Courtyard. "Listen to me, you guys must practice this technique slowly and steadily, no need to rush things because this technique is dangerous. I have already prepared the ointment for you. You can find a tree and start practicing the technique," Lin Fan reminded them. "Wang Bao, you are in charge." "Yes, leader," Wang Bao said in a loud voice. He felt like Lin Fan just gave him an important task. Meanwhile, Lin Fan continued his training to crash the bricks to his head. He almost reached the 4th stage. Lin Fan practiced together with his men. He kept on crashing the bricks to his head. Wang Bao saw how hard Lin Fan's training was, so he got fired up and tried to slam the tree as hard as he could. COD redirect. Thanks to that, Wang Bao's head was spinning around and wobbled like a drunkard. The ground is shaking. At that time, he held back not to scream in front of the others. He didn't want to break others' spirits. "We have to train as hard as he can, so we can go home safely from every mission. Now that I have reminded all of you, the rest is up to you." After Lin Fan finished telling them what he wanted to say, he continued to smash the bricks into his head. Everyone was training. Lin Fan smiled, watching his men's practice. Because demons were not the only enemy, but also humans. Lin Fan observed each one of his men's personality. Gao Zhenbin was relatively calm. Lin Fan could talk about serious things to him at ease. When the hunters were from poor families, they will give all they had. The bleeding must be treated with medicine, thoroughly, Lin Fan said. Although the first try was not bad. They couldn't push their body too hard from the very beginning. "Brother Wang, your head is bleeding." Wang Bao checked where the source of the blood was. Everyone was shocked by the blood, which was like a waterfall, and a second later, Wang Bao fainted. Chapter 28. They cannot do that. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wang Bao already showed his unyielding spirit. Lin Fan was a bit panicked and even felt extremely guilty. Wang Bao's head was bleeding. After some treatment, Wang Bao opened his eyes, and he was still a bit confused. "Leader, what happened to me?" Wang Bao asked. "What are you doing? Don't push yourself too hard." "Wang Bao, this is a lesson for you, the practice requires patience, do not rush it." Lin Fan was really disappointed with his men. He thought his men were just like citizens, they couldn't do anything right. Wang Bao lay on a chair to rest, and the wound on his head was already healed. "Sir, I'm sorry I disappointed you." Wang Bao felt guilty. Lin Fan just sat there, smashing the bricks to his head like a machine. "Wang Bao, your spirit is commendable, but I already told you to practice slowly, why don't you listen to me?" He comforted Wang Bao, so Wang Bao could get his spirit back. Although Wang Bao didn't understand Lin Fan's intention. "Yeah, I push myself too hard." Wang Bao realized he has already disappointed Lin Fan. Lin Fan crashed the bricks to his head furiously. "Well, pay attention next time." "Yes, sir. I will rest, and after a while, I will continue to practice." Wang Bao said. Lin Fan dreamed of creating a powerful team, he even already thought about the name. Holy Light Army. But his men couldn't even train properly. That would be a long, long way to go. Wang Zhou observed the situation on the training ground from a distance. It seemed that he picked the right person to work under him. But there was one thing he didn't understand, that was the reason why did Lin Fan chose the Iron Head technique. That technique was powerful, but the process of learning it was so painful. But that was not a big problem. Seeing that they were working so hard, Wang Zhou expected a great future for them. At night, some hunters were about to go home. They wanted to complain to their parents about the training. Their leader was too cruel. But what they didn't expect was, their parents actually supported what Lin Fan did. Such responsible parents they were. The hunters wondered if they really were their parents' child or not. The next day, Lin Fan stood at the gate and waited. The hunters who lived in the dorm had already waited at the gate with Lin Fan. When the rest were coming, their heart trembled, and they felt something terrible will happen. "Everyone, listen to me while waiting for the others," Lin Fan said. They didn't know what Lin Fan wanted to do, they all stood there obediently. Yesterday they practiced Iron Head. Their head was badly hurt. But after they consumed the medicine and applied the ointment, the wound on their head disappeared overnight. The 15 hunters were all set, standing in line, looking at Lin Fan while waiting for the instructions. "Okay, everyone is here, so today, my training menu officially started. Now, take off your shirt." Lin Fan was in serious mode, and his men quickly took off their clothes. Although they didn't know what happened, they followed everything Lin Fan said. The weather was so cold that morning. The hunters who took off their clothes were freezing, but under Lin Fan's watch, they maintained their posture and did not dare to move, waiting for Lin Fan's command. "Wang Bao leads the way, you guys will run around the city. Follow me." The hunter ran fast. "Wang Bao, faster. You must have a strong body to learn the technique. Look at your current body. You don't even have a muscle. Can you still call yourself a man?" COD redirect, Lin Fan was riding on a horse and followed them. The people around the street were staring at the hunters. They never encountered such a situation. 16 hunters with their bald heads caught everyone's attention. When the sun shone, their heads reflected light, which was commonly known as holy light. The hunters wanted to cry when they heard the citizens mock them. And they also wanted to protest why Lin Fan was riding a horse instead of running with them. While the hunters kept running, there were two couple of eyes watching Lin Fan. They usually blended well with the surrounding. It was hard to tell the difference. Then those two came to a secluded place to discuss something. "It's not easy. Does this guy do nothing except hunter's business? They were assassins. They wanted to kill Lin Fan, but they found that it would be hard because Lin Fan rarely left the government building. It was very dangerous to kill Lin Fan in the city. Now they didn't have much time left, and the deadline was near. They would be in trouble if they didn't kill Lin Fan. Chapter 29. A routine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Training ground. Lin Fan commanded them to run around Jiangdu City. They were tired and lay on the ground like dogs, but because Lin Fan was behind them, they immediately returned to the training ground and continued to practice Iron Head. Tired. That was something that did not exist in Lin Fan's dictionary. Those who were too tired couldn't stand up nor sleep without clothes, because the weather was so cold. That was the first time they experienced Lin Fan's hellish training. Boom. Boom. Lin Fan continued to crush the bricks with his head. He already reached the third stage thanks to his hard work. Yeah, I can do this. I can keep cultivating on my own. Lin Fan pondered and nodded silently. Meanwhile, someone rushed in and said, "Sir, someone just asked me to give this letter to you." That person handed the envelope with both hands and looked around. His heart trembled seeing Lin Fan's rigorous training. Fortunately, he was not a hunter. He would have died because of that training if he became one. "Who gave this letter to you?" Lin Fan took the envelope and asked. "A child." The man replied, and he added, "A child eating a lollipop." Lin Fan was stunned when he heard that information. He had various thoughts based on movies and TV series in his mind. He waved his hand, told the man to go. He opened the envelope. "Want to know the truth? Come tonight, don't tell anyone about it, if you want to guarantee their safety." There was not much in the letter, and there was no signature. This is a serious matter. Lin Fan squinted his eyes. It seemed that someone was after his life. He didn't know how many times he has seen the exact same scene from film and television dramas. The scene often happened to an important supporting character to prove their ability. Lin Fan wanted to go alone to that meeting point even though there was a possibility he will be ambushed, COD redirect, but there was another possibility, he will be framed. Both of those possibilities were high. Hey, you may be disappointed. Lin Fan, is a great hunter, and I know everything in Shildi. I don't want to trouble the Hunter Guild, so I won't play with you. He pondered again whether he should go to that meeting point or not, and about the preparation if he wanted to go there. But wait, who is the main character in this storyline? With that in mind, Lin Fan fell into deep contemplation again. He did not believe that he was the main character. He thought at least he was the protagonist supporting character in that case. He considered human nature. Curiosity could kill someone. You all keep practicing and don't slack off. Lin Fan left and went to see Wang Zhou. It would be better for us to investigate the situation while Wang Zhou stayed in the city. Wang Zhou was dealing with some business. "Master Wang, can I come in?" Lin Fan stood outside the door. "Come in." Wang Zhou answered from inside the room. Lin Fan came in and took out the envelope. "Sir, I receive a letter. Please look over it." Wang Zhou took the letter and opened it. He wondered, "Do you know who sent it to you?" "I don't know. I heard this letter is from a child, and the one who writes this letter might ask the child to deliver this letter in exchange for candy." Lin Fan said. Wang Zhou never heard a case like that often. "What do you think?" Wang Zhou asked. Lin Fan said, "Sir, from my point of view, this man might be trying to ambush me because of the recent cases I handle. I might be killed if I go there. Or I might be framed, there might be a corpse there when I arrive, and conveniently the government will catch me red-handed right after." Lin Fan explained all the possibilities. Wang Zhou looked at Lin Fan's eyes. Lin Fan never ceased to amaze him from the moment they met. This is a talent. Wang Zhou couldn't help but amazed by Lin Fan. He was already fascinated by Lin Fan's talent, but now he saw Lin Fan in a different light. How did you figure that out? Wang Zhou asked. Lin Fan wanted to tell him that he must watch tons of movies and TV series to get used to that kind of scene. Sir, this is my presumption. Dr. Sun and Lu Nian died by my hands. The organization behind both of them might want to get revenge. Then, what do you think the right decision we must take? Wang Zhou asked. He wanted to focus on honing Lin Fan's talent. It depends on what you think. If you want to track this down, we will face more problems. But if we ignore it, they might search for other ways to lure us out. Lin Fan answered. Wang Zhou stood close by the window and stared into the sky. He slowly said, maybe I know something. Maybe I know who is going to set you up, but I can't allow you to walk into their trap. I want to teach you all the things I have learned. We must teach them a lesson or two. What do you have in mind? Wang Zhou asked. Lin Fan didn't want to go there. It was better to stay in the city, but it was impossible to stay in the city based on the current situation. He thought something good. Lin Fan approached Wang Zhou and whispered. Meanwhile, a child with a lollipop in his hand handed a letter to a man and told that man to give it to Wang Zhou. 2 lollipops in a day. The child was so happy. Uncle is so nice. Hopefully tomorrow, that uncle will ask that child again to send a letter. Chapter 30. Good intentions. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inside the pavilion. Private room on the 2nd floor. That man seems a bit smart. The man who spoke had an unusual appearance. His eyes were giving of gloomy and despicable vibes. Yang Ji, known as the Ghost. Another gentleman, wielding a paper fan in his hand, acted like a noble. Yu Bin, known as a bloody scholar. Don't sweat it. It will go according to my plan. Yu Bin smiled. Yang Ji said, we just have to kill him instantly. Why must we go through all this trouble? You don't understand. We need to crush him completely. Yu Bin was very confident, but he doesn't mind if Yang Ji couldn't comprehend what he was thinking. Listen to me. While smiling, Yu Bin told Yang Ji to listen to his strategies. If he comes alone, we just need to kill him instantly. But if Wang Zhou comes with him, we will make them fight over our wealth. It is difficult to tell them to kill each other. But if those two kill each other, don't you think we can take advantage of it? Great plan, as expected from the bloody scholar. Yang Ji admired Yu Bin's strategy. He liked to complete the tasks given by genius people. Yu Bin laughed, to kill someone, we can't just depend on our muscle. Lin Fan came wearing a black robe. Env Yang Ji whispered to Yu Bin. He came. Wait, let's see if Wang Zhou comes with him or not. We must be careful. Yu Bin whispered. Yu Bin wasn't sure whether the person who was wearing the black robe was Lin Fan or not. Anything could happen. Carefulness was the most important thing. Lin Fan took off the black robe that covered his head, revealing his face, and his head was glowing in a majestic light. I'm here, won't you come out? Lin Fan shouted. Lin Fan didn't want to walk into their trap, he wanted them to show themselves. Yu Bin was convinced that man was really Lin Fan. He sneered. If Lin Fan really dared to come there, that meant Lin Fan believed he could go back safely. Lin Fan looked around and didn't find anything. Suddenly, he found some clues. There were countless sword marks on the ground and trees. What happened here? Lin Fan thought of various possibilities. He saw a figure from afar. Although he couldn't see the figure's face. But he figured out about who that person was. Wei Xiong. Because Wei Xiong entered the dry well, the organization backing Dr. Sun will never allow Wei Xiong to live. Even if he didn't find anything in the dry well, he would not be able to live. COD redirect. Once again, he guessed that based on movies he has already watched. Lin Fan wanted to see if that man was really Wei Xiong. When he pressed forward to check it, he immediately stopped. There was something wrong. He had a hunch the enemy was waiting for him with a surprise gift. For example, when Lin Fan entered the building, a hidden weapon was triggered, and the needle spatters all over the place. Or a deadly poison that could kill him instantly when he touched it. Lin Fan picked up the stone on the ground and threw it toward a figure that appeared suddenly in front of him. Boom! That figure fell to the ground, and he saw that figure was Wei Xiong. It's a shame to die here. He shook his head. What else could he say? He thought Wei Xiong died by his hands, but Lin Fan didn't get the item drop, so that meant Wei Xiong has already been killed by someone else. However, according to the current situation, Lin Fan could guess what the enemy was planning to do. Wei Xiong's corpse, traces of fighting. There were various signs that the opponent was at the scene and beheaded Wei Xiong. The enemy knew Wang Zhou would come and put all the blame on him. Understood. That was a double-layer trick. If Wang Zhou didn't come, they would kill Lin Fan themselves. But if Wang Zhou really came, he will be framed for killing his men that wanted to escape. Crazy. The enemies were so nasty. If Lin Fan hasn't watched hundreds of movies and TV series, he already lost from the start. Stop fooling around. Lin Fan shouted to show that he already figured out the enemy's plan and to lure them out. Lin Fan acted like he was about to leave riding the horse, to lure them out. At that moment, the enemies suddenly appeared. Small daggers were thrown the ground to block Lin Fan's path. Two figures slowly came out of the dark. It's too late for you. Play with us for a while.